I've got a very interesting watch here on the channel. This thing here is a micro brand from Germany. It's called Heinrich. You guys know the brand. When it comes to dial colors, I'm normally a sucker for orange. Not today. Today, I think this tuxedo black and white absolutely blows this orange watch out of the water. In my eyes anyway. Sorry Heinrich, but this is stunning. It is so nice to look at. This is a brand new model just released from Heinrich. It's called the Radiance. And it is very thin, very subtle. It's got a beautiful profile. And when Wolfgang from Heinrich asked me to have a look at these watches, I said, look, send down the orange for sure. I thought, you know what, send me one of each. There's 4 different colors. Give me the black and white one, give me the orange. I'll have a look at them, see what I think. This black and white's fantastic. Looking at the side profile of these watches, it looks razor thin. In the measurements, I measured just over 8 mil. And one of the first things that did stand out for me was those lugs. They're very reminiscent of Omega's Lyre styled lugs. They're twisted, but subtle enough that they offer their own unique identity. Especially with that profile and that flat bezel, I think this watch's case design is really nicely thought out. Now, after spending a week on the wrist with these watches, especially the black one, I did wear the orange for a few days and I thought, nah, I really like this black, so I spent more time with this black watch. I did find quite a few little niggles that I want to share with you guys. Things that did annoy me, not only annoyed me, bugged me. There's an easy fix. Unfortunately, you have to pay for it, and I'll explain why in the course of this review. Nonetheless, you saw the pop-up. Heinrich has sponsored this video, so I will of course leave all the links in the description section. If these watches interest you, by all means, feel free to check them out. And diving straight into the specs of these watches, I measure a case diameter of 38.5 and a case height of 8.4. The lug to lug is 46 and a lug width of 20. Now the crown is a 5.5mm signed push-pull crown. The watches offer 100 meters of water resistance, and the total weight on the supplied bracelet sized to my 18cm wrist, I measure exactly 115 grams. Now it's on the wrist where these watches have been a delight. I've spent considerable time wearing these watches on the bracelet, and I think the look on the bracelet is quite nice. I've seen this same bracelet in quite a few of Heinrich's watches, so he's kept the running theme there, and the comfort with the small link sizes, regardless of the fact that there's a butterfly clasp and not an on-the-fly adjustment clasp, it's been easy to find a very good comfort point. There are also some optional straps which have come with these watches, a black and an orange leather strap, so I've tried both watches with those straps as well. And for my wrist, I could barely feel the weight on these watches. The comfort has been great, and it solved quite a few of the problems for me wearing the watch on these bracelets, and I'll explain that in my gripe section. Now looking closely at these dials, you can see that they're inspired from the 70s. In the center section of that dial, you've got a wave-like pattern, a very subtle buzzsaw pattern, and again, I've seen that design in Heinrich's previous model, the Helicopterion. So it's good to see that Heinrich has carried through a couple of running themes from the buzzsaw pattern as well as that design of that bracelet. Now turning the watch over, you'll notice there's an exhibition caseback, and behind that caseback is a top grade ETA 7001. As you can see, it's decorated with blued screws, Geneva stripes, features about 42 hours of power reserve, but it doesn't feature stop seconds. Now for a dressier style watch, it also does have lume, and turning down the lights, you can see it's got BGW9 Superluminova, and honestly for this genre of watch, I think it's pretty good. In fact, I've got no issues whatsoever. I wasn't expecting much for a dressier style watch, and it's provided more than enough. Now the pre-order prices of these watches is going to come in at €1149. That includes VAT. And if you're outside the EU, it's 1,050 USD. That's around 1,630 Aussie dollars. And that is a tad expensive, but pretty much on par with watches with similar hardware. So neither here nor there. The first batch will be limited to 100 pieces in each colorway. However, it's not a limited edition watch. If the first run of these watches do sell out, they will be producing a second batch. Now on that note, what are my gripes or room for improvement of this watch? That bracelet. I love the look of this bracelet, but it is a hair pincher. Being someone who's got quite hairy wrists, this thing here has not only tugged at my wrist throughout the day, but it's pulled hairs off. I found myself going ouch, ooh, ah, throughout the week. So just letting you guys know, so be prepared. If you've got hairs on your wrist, you're going to feel this watch. So my only advice is man up. Secondly, there is another gripe that I didn't like about this watch. If you look at the profile of this watch, underneath, those quick release spring bars actually stick out. Me having a relatively flat wrist, I can feel them on the top of my wrist. And it wasn't enough that the actual bracelet was pinching my skin, but the spring bars themselves also dug into the top of my wrist. However, there is a quick fix. You take the bracelet off and you put on a leather strap. Now, that's why I said it's going to cost you, because when you buy the watch, it comes on the bracelet, so you're paying for the bracelet. If you do experience that phenomenon like I did, I'd be just wearing the watch straight out on a strap. That's how I've actually enjoyed the watch myself personally throughout the week. Even though I've enjoyed the look of it on the bracelet, its comfort factor has been good, but the fact that it pinches my hairs, I've had to opt for wearing it this way. Again, returning to that bracelet, there is no micro adjustment on that clasp. It's a butterfly clasp. I don't have any complaints here. Normally I do. The link sizes are about 5mm, thereabouts. So there's so much articulation and comfort. If you don't have hairs, you can find a good comfort point on this bracelet. So that's an area which I normally touch on and complain about no on-the-fly adjustability. This thing doesn't need it. And my last gripe on these watches has been legibility. I like the look of both these dials. I do like the buzzsaw pattern. I think it suits the watch. However, having a highly polished handset, especially on the black and silver one, I did have to do several double takes to get a gauge on that time. Now, would it have been nice to put a black handset on this tuxedo just to make it stand out? Would it have sort of cheapened the look of the watch? Because I think the watches look good, so maybe a black handset would have fixed the legibility problem. However, it also might not have suited the watch's aesthetic and overall look. And that's pretty much it. The brand new Heinrich Radiance. I have enjoyed them on the wrist, especially on leather. I think the finishing, the quality, the transition between brushed and polished sections is done really well. And as I mentioned technically in my gripes and room for improvement section, if there's a way of making that bracelet not pinch hairs because of those fine links, I think this watch is a real nice looker and a very easy wear on the wrist. Let me know in the comment section what you think of these new watches, which colorway you think would work best. Continue to enjoy the watches that are in your collection and this hobby, and we'll see you in the next one.